House Republicans just finished hearing from our president, and he delivered a clear message. And that message was get the job done. Everyone in that room agreed we will deliver this victory for the president and, more importantly, for the American people. The stakes are too high, and we will not miss our chance. Now, switching gears to news that broke over the weekend, the American people are smart, but we already knew that. When the Biden-Hur tapes were released on Friday, it proved that Democrats hid and lied about Biden's condition. The American people knew they were being lied to, and this week, I hope no one takes the Democrats' bait or the Democrats' word for anything, especially when they keep lying and fear-mongering about the one big, beautiful bill. We will not let them get away with their lies, and I hope you all ask them about the tapes this week, too. Really interesting. Contrast that with House Republicans who will remain on offense this week as we advance our one great big beautiful bill. We will pass this transformational legislation for the families who just lost loved ones to the border crisis. Families like Lincoln Riley and Rachel Morin, who were both killed by violent, illegal immigrants, like Zach Cullen, who lost his life to fentanyl, and Agent Raul Gonzalez, who lost his life pursuing an illegal immigrant near the border. This historic opportunity to secure our border and make our communities safer. This bill provides technology to improve border enforcement. This bill provides resources to support Border Patrol agents that they so desperately need. This bill provides funding to deport more violent illegal immigrants and materials to finish the wall. We have an opportunity right now before us to make generational investments in the safety of our communities. Let's close the floodgates and remove those that never should have been here in the first place. But let's not forget some of what other wins are in our bill and what's at stake, like the people and the mom and pops, the businesses that are facing historic tax increase if we don't get this bill done. They will not survive if we don't pass this bill. And those on Medicaid who need it strengthened, sustained, and secured. It's time we put them first, not illegal immigrants. That's what we promised the people, and that's what we intend to deliver, to put the American people first. And the one big beautiful bill delivers on those priorities. And I know every single House Republican will be proud of its passage, because when it's all said and done, history will remember that Republicans put Americans first and the Democrats didn't. And now I would like to turn it over to our chairman, Mark Green.
Thank you, Speaker. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Alejandro Mayorkas's reckless disregard for the rule of law created an historic border crisis. Under the Biden and Harris administration, 13 million inadmissible aliens poured into our country, overwhelming Border Patrol and CBP officers, wasting billions of taxpayer dollars, and of course, throwing many of our communities into chaos. Illegal gang activity, influx of fentanyl. You've heard us talk about it before. I saw an article the other day from one of you guys, 60% decrease in the murder rate in one city where ICE had removed the gang members. After 4 years, the American people were sick of it, they're tired of it, and of course, they gave Republicans the trifecta because we put them first. As of April, Southwest border encounters were down over 90%, and that's down from the lowest point in the previous administration. And that lowest point happened not because of anything that the Biden administration had done. That lowest point happened because of what Texas did with Operation Lone Star. But even from that point, it's down 90% in April, the best numbers we've had ever in the history of this country, and that's because of the actions of this president, who delivered on his promise to secure the border and enforce our laws. But if Congress fails to act, this success will be short-lived. I'm proud of the Committee on Homeland Security's work to include common sense border security legislation. That is a generational opportunity to actually secure our border. We've tried so many times in the past. Now we will codify these executive actions, and we will do our job in Congress and resource this effort. $7 billion to recruit and train new border agents, billions of dollars to fix, to build the wall, and it's a high-tech, lights, cameras, access to observe, $5 billion in technology enhancements, all the support that we can give to the border states. We're going to expand Operation Stone Garden, those grants for those states that actually work with the Department of Homeland Security to secure our border, all in this bill, all because the American people said enough is enough, and all because they elected Donald Trump and a Republican Congress. I now will be followed by one of my mentors and heroes in this building, Jim Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know why the Democrats dislike this bill so much? Because it's so darn Republican. Embraces three fundamental Republican principles: cut taxes, secures the border, requires work. We're the party that believes you should let mom and dads keep more of their money to chase down their goals and dreams. We're the party that believes you should actually have a secure border. This bill does it, as Chairman Green just pointed out. And we're the party that believes able-bodied adults, if they're going to get your money, should have to work. It's good for taxpayers. It's good for the economy. Most importantly, it's good for that individual. This bill embraces three fundamental principles of our party. That's why I think it's really important that Republicans lean in and go tell the American people how important this legislation is, how it keeps faith with what we told the voters we were going to do last November, why they elected us, and it's right on point. So I'm confident we're going to get there this week, get the votes that we need to get this thing passed, because it does the things we said we were going to do. And with that, I yield to the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, Chairman Smith.
Thank you, Jim. President Trump promised and delivered, and now the House will too. The One Big Beautiful Bill stops the largest tax increase in history and focuses benefits on workers, families, farmers, and small businesses. It unleashes Made in America manufacturing and delivers on President Trump's promise to all American workers. This is an economic growth agenda combined with historic spending reforms that protects those in need and puts America on a path to a better future. $140 billion in your tax dollars shouldn't go to illegal immigrants who have broken the law. Instead, Republicans are putting that money towards no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. Fortunately, 77 million Americans have already weighed in. We're going to deliver on the president's promises, and we're going to help working and middle-class Americans. This is very personal for me. I grew up in a single-wide trailer in a town of less than 5,000 people. The average income in my hometown is just over $24,000. My priority is the working class. That is the priority of President Trump, and that is the priority of the Republican Party. And this bill delivers for them. My neighbors back home and hard-working families and communities, just like in Salem, Missouri, and all across the United States. According to the Council of Economic Advisors, the no tax on tips policy alone will lead to an additional $1,700 in the pockets of each of the 4 million different tipped employees working in communities throughout this nation. Family take-home pay will increase up to $13,300 under the One Big Beautiful Bill. And the same study showed that tax relief for seniors, meanwhile, would increase the average take-home pay for qualifying seniors by approximately $450 per year. I'm proud to say we're taking the president's promise and going even farther by delivering even greater benefits for them. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Failure is not an option. We have to deliver for the American people. Pleased to turn over to Whip Emmer.
Thanks, Jason. This week, House Republicans face a historic moment that has the potential to revive the American dream and solidify the comeback that has already begun under President Donald J. Trump. From our nation's farmers to police officers working 60 hours a week, from America's top manufacturers to small businesses on Main Street, our one big, beautiful bill holds promise for every American. In fact, nearly 1,000 organizations have already expressed support for the policies within the bill. The Job Creators Network described our reconciliation bill as, quote, exactly what the country needs to jumpstart the economy and guarantee the safety and prosperity of Americans for decades to come, end quote. The National Association of Manufacturers said of this landmark legislation, quote, we need certainty now, and this is the moment to deliver one big, beautiful bill that lets us compete and win, end quote. Their warning could not be more true. The time to get this done is now. Not only does this legislation make the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent and implement no tax on tips and overtime pay, it also unleashes American energy, cuts waste, fraud, and abuse, and allows President Trump to continue his successful deportation and border security operations. And that's only naming a handful of things this bill accomplishes. Our reconciliation bill delivers on President Trump's America First agenda, and it does so while saving the American people over $1.6 trillion. The one big, beautiful bill is truly a once-in-a-generation chance to get America back on track. House Republicans must seize this opportunity and quickly. As my good friend Jason Smith just said, failure is not an option. With that, I turn it over to our leader, Steve Scalise.
Thank you, Whip. Well, this morning, President Trump had a strong and clear message to a packed House Republican conference. And that is after months of long, intense discussions over really important differences and issues. This one big, beautiful bill has come through the committee process, and it's time to end the negotiations, unify behind this bill, and get it passed on to the Senate. And what President Trump really talked about was the things that we all talked about during the campaign. How important it was to prevent a tax increase on working class families. Low and middle income families would see a large, painful tax increase if this bill were not to happen. And look, we all know every Democrat's going to vote no. They've bragged about it. They are fighting tooth and nail to stop us from preventing a tax increase. Democrats also made it clear they want open borders, and they sure don't want the provisions of this bill, as Chairman Green and Chairman Jordan talked about, that will give our Border Patrol agents the tools they've been asking for years to finally have the technology to be able to compete with the drug cartels and have better tools than the cartels of Mexico have to secure our border, to complete construction of the wall, to deport criminals who came to America to harm our citizens. And President Trump is finally following that promise to secure our border, but he needs more tools to do it. Something we also ran on was producing more energy in America. And this bill reverses the Biden era policies that shut off American energy, making our country more dependent on hostile nations, giving Putin billions of dollars a month more to fund his war in Ukraine by shutting American energy off. This bill opens it back up again. It generates more money. It generates opportunity for families. It generates higher wages for hardworking taxpayers. It will generate real economic growth to lower inflation, to lower costs at the grocery store, to lower interest rates, all the things that 77 million voters gave us a mandate to go deliver on. I know we've got a few final issues to resolve, but as President Trump said today, it's time to stop the talking and we need action. We need to deliver for those families who have been waiting way too long for the results that are in this one big beautiful bill. A lot of great policies to deliver for those families is just waiting. We're going to deliver this week. We're going to bring the bill. Failure absolutely is not an option. We've got to get this done. And the man leading that charge here in the House, who President Trump had some great words about, is our Speaker, Mike Johnson.
Thank you, leader. Thanks to all these great leaders standing behind me. I tell you what, we're in a very good mood this morning. We had an epic time on the Hill. I don't think there's ever been a time when I've been more proud to be a Republican, to be an American. We're on the verge of making history here, and everybody feels it. In that room today with President Trump, it was filled with standing ovations and high energy and high excitement because everybody senses what's happening here. It was a great esprit de corps, and we're blessed to serve under and with a president who understands the necessity of these relationships and is willing to roll his sleeves up and come stand in the trenches to be a part of this excitement of what's happening. From the outset of the budget reconciliation process, we have sought to enact President Trump's full agenda, not just parts of it. And that's why we call it the one big beautiful bill, because really everything is sandwiched into this. The American people were sick of wasteful spending and high inflation and open borders and weakness on the world stage. And you know what we're working towards right now? The opposite of all those things. President Trump has used his executive authority in historic ways to stop much of the bleeding. But Congress has a role and a responsibility to step in at this stage to stitch up and mend those wounds for good. And that's what this legislation is about. We cannot leave the American people waiting or wanting. The one big beautiful bill enshrines into law and funds President Trump's promises. There's a lot of them because we had to make them, because after the last 4 years, everything was an absolute disaster. So he's promised to cut wasteful spending and save taxpayers' money. Check. That's what we're doing. Make permanent historic tax cuts and prevent the largest tax hike in U.S. history. Check. That's what we're doing. Invest in our national defense and homeland security in a fiscally responsible manner. That too. Reestablish American energy dominance and basically restore common sense to the government. That's what the American people elected him to do. This bill does all that and so much more. And as a reminder, we're right on schedule. Our House Budget Resolution gave instructions to 11 separate committees in the House to write their portions of the Budget Reconciliation Bill, and they did it right on target. Every instructed committee exceeded those targets, in fact, that they were given through our resolution. That means the committees that were told to spend have spent less, and the committees that were told to save actually found more savings than they were targeting. And the bill delivered more than $1.5 trillion in savings mandated by the budget resolution. That is historic. There's never been anything like it before, and we're proud to deliver it. This is a whole of Congress response to a whole of government problem, and the results of all this work for over a year has now come to fruition. Every House Republican has engaged in the process. The White House has been involved, as you saw most recently within the last hour. The Senate has been involved. Constituent groups from around the country made their voices heard, and that's why, as the whip said, nearly 1,000 organizations have issued enthusiastic public endorsements about this legislation. I don't think there's ever been anything like that. No legislation has ever garnered that much support. It's really something. And we never promised it'd be easy. We never thought this was going to be an effortless process, because when you're doing this much in a bill this large and complicated and comprehensive, there's a lot of opinions in the room. We respect that in the Republican Party. We're people of deep principle and settled philosophy, and you're going to get differences of opinion when you work through these things. That's part of it. We welcome it. Nothing in Congress is ever easy, especially when you have small margins, but we are going to land this plane and deliver this, and we're proud what we've accomplished together. Every member of the conference can be proud of this legislation in the end. It's truly a nation-shaping piece of legislation. You heard some of the highlights here. Let me just give you a couple of things that haven't been mentioned yet or can't be mentioned enough. Some of the big conservative wins in the bill that are common sense wins for the American people. Putting Americans first. I love what Chairman Jordan said. This is really simple. We're delivering. We're doing what we said we were going to do. When you talk about putting Americans first, we're making the largest investment in border security in over a generation, providing nearly $150 billion to secure our border and deport illegal aliens. We are cracking down on illegal aliens receiving Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, and tax benefits that are intended for the citizens of this country. We're shifting the cost of adjudication in the immigration system from the American taxpayer to the aliens themselves. and we're imposing a fee on remittance payments to foreign countries by illegal aliens. Second category, providing historic tax relief. We're going to eliminate taxes on tips and overtime and provide tax relief for seniors on Social Security. We're going to eliminate taxes on auto loan interest if that car is made in the U.S., lowering the cost of borrowing for America's farmers and providing tax relief for job creators. Another category, bringing back common sense. I mean, that's the continuing theme here that we all talk about. We're repealing and rolling back over $500 billion in funding for the radical Green New Deal policies from Biden's so-called Inflation Reduction Act. We call it the Inflation Act. We're ending Biden's war on American energy. We're banning Medicaid dollars from going to transgender surgeries for minors. We're canceling Biden's student loan repayment program. We're increasing university endowment tax for these big woke institutions. We're revoking tax exempt status for nonprofits that materially support terrorism. We're doubling the jail time for leaks of confidential taxpayer information. We're eliminating big businesses' ability to engage in woke PR campaigns to facilitate refundability for green energy projects. We're incentivizing federal workforce to be at-will employees, and we're repealing Biden's disastrous EV mandate. The stakes couldn't be any higher. We could go on and on. It's over 1,000 pages. I could list all the wins, but we only have so much time. Despite the overwhelming popularity of so many of these provisions in this bill, the guys on the other side of the congressional Democrats have refused to engage with us in this process at all. They're not going to vote for anything that I just listed for you. And make no mistake about it. This week they're going to vote for. They're going to vote for the largest increase in taxes in American history. They're going to vote against border security, against American energy dominance, and against broadly popular policies such as work requirements to shore up Medicaid. President Trump's one big beautiful bill is going to require one big beautiful vote. And this is our shot. Best chance. This is our best chance that we'll ever have in our lifetimes, and any of us in any of our lifetimes, to deliver on the mandate handed down by so many Americans. 77 million Americans voted for President Trump, more than that. And in fact, it's exactly what Republicans were sent to Washington to accomplish, as Chairman Jordan said. By passing this legislation, wages will increase as much as $11,600. Take-home pay for the typical American family with 2 kids will increase by $13,300 a year. As many as 4.2 million full-time equivalent jobs will be created because of this legislation. But if we fail, here's the alternative. Here's what the Democrats are going to vote for. Every American citizen seeing a 22% tax hike. 26 million businesses would see a tax increase of 43%. We'd lose nearly 6 million jobs in the economy and about $1 trillion in GDP by some estimates. The Border Patrol and ICE would lack the resources to detain and deport criminal illegal aliens, and 1.4 million illegals would continue to receive taxpayer funding of health care. Look, we could go on and on this morning about finishing the border wall and accomplishing all these things that we've talked about. But I'm going to end it here and tell you that failure is simply not an option. We have to get this done. I told President Trump on the campaign trail that I believed he could be the most consequential president of the modern era and arguably maybe one of the most in all of U.S. history, maybe top 2 or 3. I think this is the way we deliver that. And by extension, that means that this Congress can be one of the most consequential in history. We do not take that lightly. And despite the challenges and the nonstop media criticism and the historically small House majority, we are right on track to deliver, and that's what you'll see this House do this week. Now, we're not going to take a lot of questions this morning because we've already done a ton of media with you in the halls. The President gave you a lot, we gave you a lot. What we're leaving to do right now is gather up the small subgroups in the House Republican Conference and tie up the remaining loose ends. I'm very confident that we'll be able to do that. There's a great esprit de corps in the room this morning because everybody knows what's at stake. All the things we've talked about here this morning, we are going to get this done. So this is a rare thing. I'm going to say hold the questions and let me go get back to work so we can finish this thing up, okay? Thanks for being here this morning. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker,